The manhunt has ended for two teenage sweethearts suspected of a string of crimes that began in Kentucky and spread south. We'll tell you what's next for the teenagers.
He disappeared on Laurel Lake more than 2 years ago. We have an update on the search for a Kentucky man.
Hundreds were here in downtown Lexington today to honor and remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at the annual Freedom March.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 4:30.
Good afternoon, Sam, Dick, and Amber Philpott reporting. The process is underway now to get two Kentucky teenagers back to Kentucky to answer to charges from a crime spree.
Dalton Hayes and Cheyenne Phillips were on the run for about 2 weeks until they were arrested in Panama City Beach, Florida yesterday. Jordan Valines is at the live desk for us with the latest in this case. It's our top story at 4:30. Hello, Jordan.
Hey, Amber, that's right. During a 2-week span, Dalton Hayes and Cheyenne Phillips were spotted in numerous states from Kentucky to Florida. Police say the pair was spotted early last week at a Walmart in South Carolina, where they're believed to have passed 2 stolen checks. Authorities believe they headed to Georgia, where they allegedly stole 2 handguns that were inside of a vehicle. Officials said the couple was found inside a 2001 Toyota Tundra that was reported stolen in Georgia. The mothers of the teenagers said they're relieved that their children were safely apprehended.
It was immediate stress relief for me. I was just glad they were both safe and unharmed.
Yes, it was like so much is taken off my shoulders, and it was just a relief to know that they were, safe.
Now, Hayes is expected to be charged with burglary, theft, criminal trespassing, and criminal mischief. Phillips will face charges in juvenile court because she is a minor. At the live desk, Jordan Valines, WKYT.
Jordan, thank you. Grayson County court records said that Hayes was facing burglary and theft charges when the couple first took off. Well, it has been a beautiful Martin Luther King Day here in the Bluegrass with mild temperatures and sunny skies.
Love seeing that sun out there. But how long will this last? Let's check in with our meteorologist right now, Jim Caldwell. What do you think, Jim?
Hey, buddy, it's only going to last a couple of days, but let's enjoy it while we have it out there. And we've got plenty of it to go around for everybody, running in the mid and upper 50s throughout central and eastern Kentucky. Just look at some of those readings. I mean, 59 right now in London. We go out of our area a little ways, of course, but look at this. Bowling Green showing 61 degrees. And I'm sure in parts of Wayne County, Whitley County, and some of those areas, maybe some backyard thermometers are at 60, maybe even above in those cases. So there might be some isolated spots showing those low 60s even in our area as well. It's been a pretty quiet day as far as precipitation is concerned because we really haven't had any cloud cover either. So plenty of sunshine throughout the entire area for you again today. Now, here's what our daily breakdown looks like for you. We've got the mild trend holding on at least through tomorrow. Midweek cold front will come into place, and that's going to bring a little bit of change for us. Maybe some showers and the possibility of even some snowflakes coming our way toward at least the backside of that system. And then we start tracking another chance of some wintry weather late this week. It's one we'll have to watch very closely because it could be one of those near hits or near misses that we'll watch for you all week long. I'll have more on that coming up in just a little bit.
A grand jury will hear the case of a Casey County woman. Her death was ruled a suicide, but the investigation remains open. 42-year-old Leah Skipper died of a gunshot wound to the head on March 18th of last year. The coroner ruled her death a suicide, but Skipper's daughter believes county officials did not do a complete investigation, and she says too many questions linger about the death. The Casey County grand jury is scheduled to meet this Friday.
The answer to a really easy question, is this a murder or a suicide, from a scientific standpoint, will never be answered.
Tonight at 6, WKYT talks to a former state medical examiner about the case and where he believes investigators went wrong. Amber joins us in the newsroom with investigative reporter Miranda Combs with more. Amber?
Sam, thank you. Miranda, remind folks, this is a story that you profiled earlier for us, actually back in December, correct?
Right, and actually in December is when the grand jury initially was going to hear this case, but the day our story aired, it was postponed, and we just found out it will actually be scheduled now for this Friday.
So in this story, you're talking to a former medical examiner who actually consulted with the Skipper family after her death, right?
Right, this is Dr. George Nichols, and he was actually the first medical examiner in Kentucky Now, he says you'll never know what happened to Leah Skipper because there's only a small window of time that you have to figure out what happened to a body. And obviously, he says that window is far closed. This was almost a year ago. Something interesting, though, he says in the story tonight, you'll notice in the coroner's report, it says that she had an imprint on her right index finger, like a trigger pull. Well, he says in his hundreds of times investigating suicides by gun, never once did he see an imprint on a finger. So there are some differences in the story, and we'll talk about more of them tonight.
Obviously, Skipper's daughter in all of this, she's been a huge advocate. What does she think about this upcoming grand jury meeting?
She doesn't think there'll be an indictment, and this won't be the end for her, and we'll talk more about that as well at 6.
All right, it's certainly a very interesting story, putting all the pieces and parts together, and we'll see that story tonight coming up for you at 6. Sam?
Thank you, Amber and Miranda. The search continues this week for a Kentucky man who's been missing for more than 2 years. Clarence Holmes disappeared on Laurel Lake back on July 5th, 2012. Police say he was helping other boaters during a storm. There'll be another sonar search of the lake this week. Divers have searched dozens of times since Holmes disappeared. Hundreds of people packing the streets of downtown Lexington this morning. They took part in the annual Freedom March to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. WKYT's Hillary Thornton has reaction from this morning's celebration.
Each year, hundreds of people come here to downtown Lexington for the Martin Luther King Jr. Freedom March to remember the legacy of a man they say changed history forever.
This man really, gave his life to get a lot of things started.
Marchers of all ages filled the streets.
He had a dream, and we think that that's good because if it wasn't for him, a lot of people wouldn't have the same rights.
All for the same reason, to honor the life of the civil rights leader and reflect on his message.
There are so many things that many people wouldn't be able to do now that they did as when Martin Luther King gave his speech. It made a difference.
It's really important because it marks a new, era of how people are treated, and it's kind of big, and even today it's very important in society.
Thankful for his legacy and the opportunity to continue spreading that message.
The world peace, the word peace, that's the only thing I'll think of when I see this picture. Let's try to have more peace.
A total change in my life. Without King and civil rights, it would be a whole different situation. So it means basically that, it's a new world.
In Lexington, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
And following that march, there was a commemorative program held at Heritage Hall and then a free showing of the movie Red Tails.
The life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is being honored all across the nation.
In Washington, D.C., fifth graders recited Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech from the very same spot he delivered it in 1963. Craig Boswell reports.
I have a dream.
One by one, fifth graders from Washington, D.C.'s Watkins Elementary School recited Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech.
That my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin.
They've been rehearsing for weeks.
I was nervous, but I was kind of excited, and I was like, wow, I was proud.
Standing in the spot where Dr. King delivered the powerful words was also emotional.
When I was finished, I went up there and I started crying because it's a relief that I'm sharing his speech with everybody here.
It brings a tear to my eye because it makes me think that she really take it in. She's soaking up all the history.
It was embarrassing.
You said it was embarrassing.
Because I was crying all the time. I have a dream, freedom.
The school began this tradition on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial 11 years ago, and each year students connect to the speech in different ways.
Have a good life and not be judged by their skin color, but by how they act.
Younger students are listening and watching, eager for their turn to share Dr. King's words on his next birthday. Craig Boswell, CBS News, Washington.
It's around this time each year, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, that students study the life of the civil rights leader.
Our Deanne Stevens is out and about with some students at Veterans Park Elementary. Hey, Deanne.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. We decided to stop by Veterans Park Elementary, where they have been studying all about Martin Luther King Jr., as have schools all across the country, as you can imagine. Emily Werman is with us, the 4th grade teacher here, and I really like the different activities you've been doing. We showed folks a little bit ago a movie that you guys have been working. Your kids are putting these things together.
They are very talented and can fix their teachers' mechanical errors a lot of times as well. Yes.
It is unreal what technology is doing in their learning process now, but you've also done something that's unique for your classroom and taking apart the I Have a Dream speech.
Yes, I have a really creative bunch of kids this year, and so what we did is we took apart the speech and we looked at each individual verse and what he meant and what it meant to them, and then they were able to take those words and those thoughts that they had and put them into a watercolor illustration that represented kind of their interpretation of his dream and what it means to kids today as well.
Well, it's something that they can do, and they don't even know. They're having fun doing it and learning all the same time.
Absolutely. We're always learning in here, and definitely putting a little spin on art gave us that opportunity to do so.
Okay, the beautiful artwork. You guys did a great job. Give yourselves a round of applause there. You guys did a great job on this. We have Katie and little Miss Cameron here who are going to read. The group voted, the classroom voted on which one they wanted to talk about, and it's the Table of Brotherhood.
I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at a table of brotherhood.
You guys did a wonderful job on that. Why is something like that important, you think? So everybody can sit down together at a table?
Yes.
Yeah, of all races and all kinds, right? Okay, again, give yourselves a round of applause on what you've done. And you, my dear, what you're teaching the kiddos and what they're learning. Very important day, Martin Luther King Jr. And we appreciate Veterans Park Elementary letting us stop by to see what all the little learners are doing. I'm Deanne Stevens. Say bye. Bye. Back to you guys.
All right, some good education there. Hundreds of people marched with the cast of Selma this weekend to honor Dr. King.
Recalling one of the bloodiest chapters of the civil rights movement, Oprah, along with other members of the cast and crew, traveled from City Hall in Selma, Alabama, to the city's Edmund Pettus Bridge. That is the spot where civil rights protesters were beaten and tear gassed by officers in 1965. After the march, R&B singers Common and John Legend performed their Oscar-nominated song, Glory, from the movie. Apple and some of its employees are at odds about the tech giant's policy regarding Martin Luther King Day. Apple does not give its employees a paid vacation day on today's federal holiday, which is also known as the MLK Day of Service. Instead, it doubles the amount of money it donates to charity for employees who choose to volunteer. But nearly 200 employees have signed a petition on coworker.org asking for a paid vacation day. A spokeswoman said Apple would not comment on the petition. George Lucas returns to his animation roots, and Johnny Depp is up to his usual antics on the big screen.
Suzanne Marquez has those stories and more in today's Eye on Entertainment.
American Sniper led the U.S. and Canadian box office charts over the weekend with $90.2 million in ticket sales. The Oscar-nominated movie broke the record for a January weekend, as well as for any drama opening ever. Berlin hosted the world premiere of the screwball comedy Mordecai. Johnny Depp plays an eccentric art dealer and part-time rogue who uses his good looks and charm to recover a stolen painting containing a secret code. Mordecai hits theaters Friday. Also out on Friday, George Lucas's animated musical adventure Strange Magic. The movie is inspired by Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream and features songs drawn from 6 decades of pop music, ranging from Elvis Presley to Lady Gaga.
What a challenge to be able to say, I think I could actually tell a story using the lyrics of existing songs to tell the story.
Alan Cumming, Evan Rachel Wood, Kristen Chenoweth, and Maya Rudolph all lend their voices to the film. And that's your Eye on Entertainment. Suzanne Marquez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
All right, we have a couple of traffic alerts to pass along to you in Lexington this afternoon. The right lane is blocked on North Upper Street, downtown between 5th and 3rd Street for a water main installation. Also at Manowar and Sir Barton Way, the lanes will be blocked at the corners for traffic signal replacement between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m., and that goes through Thursday. To become a WKYT Live driver and download the Waze app, go to WKYT.com. Under the News tab, click on Traffic for more information. Camel wrestling, rhinos on the run, and a stinky survival story. It's the video that will have you talking. Take a look at this.
It is not hump day, but it is time for the annual Camel Wrestling Festival. The Turkish festival consists of two parts, a beauty contest and a wrestling match. Hundreds of saddled camels with elaborate decorations parade through town before the wrestling competition. Organizers tie up the camels' mouths to prevent them from biting each other during the competition. Judges choose a strong, docile camel as the winner.
Oh, my. How about this? These three rhinos did not miss their big opportunity to make a break from a safari park in Israel. According to the park, the three rhinos escaped while the guard was sleeping. You see on the video the rhinos rushing out of the exit while a worker tries to catch up to them. The rhinos were able to make it out into the parking area before workers managed to bring them back. The sleeping guard, however, won't be back. He was fired.
There they go. Firefighters call it a miracle. A man stuck in the back of a garbage truck while garbage men were compacting trash. Somehow this guy survived the crushing blows. The Sacramento, California native said he was digging in the dumpster for his lost wallet. The truck came along, it scooped him up, and then continued on its way. The man told first responders he used wooden planks, creating a pocket around him so he couldn't get crushed.
He described the area that he built around him as a coffin. So, and those were his words, and we're fortunate that it didn't turn out to be a coffin.
Yeah, he was stuck back there 3.5 hours before he was finally dumped at the county landfill. Talk about terrifying. Well, first of all, that's just the wrong thing to do. Your wallet can't be worth that much.
No, absolutely. What an awful experience all the way around. My goodness.
What a
All right.
nightmare.